I recently posted these bracelets to my Facebook page, and I had a follower comment that this was a weave they were really struggling to learn. So today I am going to show you how I weave it. This is called Vipera Berus, and then these two are the kinged version. It's kinged Vipera Berus because every ring is doubled. So this is standard, this is kinged. For the standard, you need rings that have an AR of 3.5. So for this bracelet, I used 18 standard wire gauge 5/32 jump rings. And for the kinged version, you need rings that have an AR of 5.3. So for these two, I used 18 standard wire gauge 1/4 or 1/4 inch jump rings. You could also make this in 20 gauge 3/16. Today, I am going to show you how to weave the kinged version, but the same tutorial will apply for the standard version. You're just not doubling up all the rings. Let's get into it. So for the tutorial today, I am going to be using 18 standard wire gauge 1/4 inch jump rings. And you are going to start out by creating a 2 and 2 chain that is roughly 1.5 times the length of the finished piece you want. So if you're making an 8-inch bracelet, you need to make about a 12 or 13-inch 2 and 2 chain. And what I mean by 2 and 2 chain is 2 jump rings into 2 jump rings into 2 jump rings, and so on the entire length of your chain. Once your chain is finished, you are going to add an extra jump ring or a twist tie at the top of your weave, just something to secure and hold on. So when you're maneuvering, it makes it a little simpler. To start, we are going to take a jump ring and we are going to count down 1, 2, 3. These jump rings here that are kind of facing us are the jump rings that we're going to pick up. And we're always working from the right side of the weave. So we're going to go and come in through the right, and then we are going to twist up, skipping the second pair of jump rings and weaving through the first. And you see how the third and first kind of stack one on top of the other? That's what we're looking for. And then we're going to close this jump ring. And then, of course, because this is the kinged version, we have to double the ring we just added. So this is what it should look like when you're done. Now, as I stated earlier, we're always working from the right side. So we need to flip our work over. The next set of jump rings that we're picking up are going to be these that are hanging off the end of our weave. So again, coming in through the right, twisting, and then picking up the second pair of jump rings from the top of the chain. And then, of course, doubling that ring. So this is what it should look like so far. So once again, we are going to flip our work over. We're picking up these jump rings, but now this is where it gets a little different. We're not just picking up the blue, we're picking up the gray and blue. Now, you'll notice that these rings are kind of leaning away from the center of the weave. That is going to dictate how our next pair of jump rings is woven. So when the rings are slanting away from you, you are going to weave underneath those grays, but going through the eye that these gray and blue rings create. So I'm going through the eye, but I'm weaving underneath the gray. And then, of course, doubling up that jump ring we just added. So now it should look like this so far. So once again, flip it over. We're picking up these rings. And again, our gray rings from the previous step, they're slanting away from us. So we're coming in from the right, twisting up and going underneath the gray, but through the eye that the gray and blue created. So it should look like this so far. And again, flipping it over because we're always working on the right side of the weave. Now this is where it can get a little tricky for some people. So these set of rings are now slanting in towards the center of the weave. So that's going to dictate how we weave this ring, and it's a little different from how we wove them previously. So again, coming in from the right, picking up those two, but instead of going underneath the gray, we're going over the top, but still through the eye that the gray and blue create. So now it should look like this. And again, flipping it over, coming in from the right. These rings are slanting in towards the center, so we are weaving over the top and through the eye. Flip it. Now these rings are slanting away. So instead of going over the top, we're going to go underneath. So coming in from the right, twisting up, underneath and through the eye. And it should look like this. Flipping our work over. These edge rings are slanting away. So we're coming in from the right, twisting up and weaving underneath and through the eye. Flipping our work over. These gray rings are slanting towards the center. So we're coming in from the right, twisting up, but we're going over and through the eye. One more time, flipping it up. This ring is slanting in, so we're weaving over the top. So coming in from the right, twisting, over the top and through the eye. Flip our work. These rings are slanting away. So coming in from the right, twisting up, and we're weaving underneath and through the eye. And you're just going to keep alternating like that. So if your rings that you're weaving into are slanting away, you're weaving underneath. If they're slanting in, you're weaving over the top, but always going through the eye that the gray and blue rings create. And you just keep going until you get the length of the piece you want. I hope that made it a little easier for you to understand. Happy weaving.